Let's say it together, Noah. There's
There's
always
always
next
next
year.
year.
The Guardians, I don't know why we're smiling. Probably because we just did 5 takes of that intro because it doesn't sound like we're lined up. Maybe Noah can just edit the audio to make it sound good. The Guardians, unfortunately, have been eliminated from the playoffs. Their playoff run has ended really before it's even gotten started with the wild card loss to the Tigers yesterday. On the one hand, they shouldn't have been in it. On the other hand, I think we all had excitement that brewed because of the way they won the division. By the way, you can't take that away from us. One positive to take away, it is officially 130 days until pitchers and catchers report.
Yeah, it's bittersweet, man. I know this season has been a absolute roller coaster. We had Alyss 216 Alyss on earlier this week, and she compared it to the top thrill dragster. Erik, did I say that right? I'm not a
You
roller
did.
coaster guy. Okay, cool. And it has been a roller coaster between suspensions and losing streaks, and then winning streaks, and then you know just to bring it up one more time, making MLB history this season. It's sad. I'm upset. I wish the Guardians would have, of course, made it on into the divisional round, but it's a bittersweet moment. We had a great season, and we talked about this, I think, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, that despite whatever happens, if they won the division, if they made the playoffs, if they moved on in the playoff, whatever happened this season, it was a success of a season because of all of the adversity that they faced, and they said, "Screw that, we're gonna keep going."
Yeah, listen, I definitely wanted to advance to the divisional. I'll be rooting for the Mariners against Detroit. Here's the thing, we have a nice central banner that we didn't expect to get.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that we have, and yet we're going to have more than the Tigers end up with because as much as I'd want to go and play Seattle, the Tigers aren't winning a pennant. They're not winning the World Series. So I guess shame on you. We looked better. I don't know. It's a weird time. There's some positive takeaways from this season. We got to see our youth play. I think that they're going to be a benefit for us next year. The pitching has looked stout, and there's even more to come of that. But old reliable, which would be ownership not spending money, comes around to bite us in the ass once again. How much longer can we take of this? Of being a bubble team that's just good enough to make the playoffs or win the division in a weak division, and frankly, because of a team snowballing and failing more so than us winning. I mean, it took both. But you're right. Yes, the season on a whole is a win. I think I was very clear on that in the last take when we talked about this. I think we should be very proud of the boys and what they've accomplished, being 15 and a half games back. But bigger picture, I'm so tired of ownership tanking this team because that's what they do every year.
Yeah, and I hate the fact that we can't just bring in a power batter too, because I feel like we would be a really solid, borderline scary playoff team if we did so, and we didn't have to worry about small ball and hoping our prospects come up and blase blah. All of that is fine and dandy, but it's the same old song and dance. It's the same story that we've been dealing with as Guardians fans for as long as I can remember, until we randomly hit when the iron's hot and we have a bunch of prospects on a roster that get hot and make it work, like 2016 and the 90s and whatnot.
Which, by the way, one quick point to your what you were just saying about bringing in a power hitter. If you think J Ram's good right now, imagine when teams don't have to pitch around him, or I should say, can't pitch around him. I used the example earlier. I dated myself because I used old Indians players like Manny Ramirez. But imagine facing a lineup that had Kwan and then Jose Ramirez and then or Jose would bat third, but you get what I'm saying. Jose Ramirez and then Otani and then Mike Trout. I'm obviously building a dream team there. Aaron Judge at cleanup. But imagine where you can't pitch around a guy because right now they can do just that. J-Ram isn't seeing he's still performing incredibly, by the way. This isn't a knock on
Yeah,
J-Ram.
no, you're
It's
just
just that
saying
he would see better pitches because you wouldn't be able to play kid gloves with him. They walked him at one point today just because first base was open, and why would you throw to one of the best players in baseball? But he's quickly exiting that window. I mean, he's in his prime right now, but that's not gonna last forever. And I
I
just feel like 2016 was our time and it slipped through our fingers, and now we're left with a shell of a team that we're trying to rely on youth, but that will not win a World Series.
No, it will not. I mean, it could if you hit all of the lucky numbers, but you're talking Mega Millions, not even like pick 3, pick 4 lucky numbers, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you
We
have a team like the Dodgers that, by the way, has like 4 out of the 5 numbers too.
Right.
So that's what you're up against.
And, we talk about this team and we talk about Jose and, getting him some help and he's getting older. I mean, we get mad at the Browns for wasting Miles Garrett's prime. I
Yeah.
feel like there needs to be a bigger conversation about wasting Jose Ramirez's prime because he is one of, if not, I don't want to say he's the best player in baseball. I don't think he's the best player in baseball, but he's up there. You know what
He's
I mean?
top
He is
10.
top 10, 100%. And he deserves more support from this front office, more specifically ownership, to get to that next level. I want to turn our attention to this Detroit series because I want to ask what you think went wrong because was it just the voodoo magic, the power of friendship, whatever you want to call our run ran out? Do you think there was some things that we could have done better to win this series? What do you think happened? What do you think went wrong?
Yeah, a little bit of both. The lack of hitting and then pitching falling apart specifically is what went wrong today, and what or yesterday rather, and what went wrong in game one as well when we couldn't hit Scooble. Which, how are you going to hit their ace? But ultimately, it was a story of too little, too late. We had to go on the run when we went on that run in order to even make the postseason, and it was magic that we did, but we almost needed a window that was like 3 or 4 weeks later. I wish we were ahead, and we were winning the Central, because if we had that time and we could have peaked at a different time, like a little bit later, maybe it's a different story. It's just like the year that we won 22 straight. That's an amazing accomplishment, but it didn't result in a ring at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, just setting quickly aside uh, what we were talking about with Detroit specifically. I feel like we said at the top of the show that this is a success of a season because we shouldn't have been here. And I feel like one of the problems that we have with this Guardians team, when we talked about ownership, is that it's okay, like we're settling for mediocrity. We made the playoffs. That was an accomplish. We were 15 and a half games back. Well, that doesn't mean shit. I said we have a nice division banner, and we do, but that doesn't mean shit. So ownership has coached us into being okay. They went on a hell of a run. Great job, boys. That was great. Amazing. We're sitting at home right now. So to be okay with that and to be okay with mediocrity and just making the playoffs, that can't cut it anymore. And we see what has happened. Attendance has been down. It's up when they're doing well, but I don't know what you do at this point. The Dolans need to sell the damn team. At this point, create a law in Ohio that forces them to sell the team, because they're holding on to something that they shouldn't be owners. I mean, it's that simple. If we want a chance to win, it's not going to be under Dolan ownership.
Yeah, it would be nice to be able to go out and get a guy like a Cody Bellinger who's going to ask for 20, 25 billion this free agency. Even Anthony Santandler, who's potentially in that 10 to 15 million dollar range. Kyle
We'll probably get
Schwarber,
Barry
yeah,
Bonds at 80. I
right.
mean, that's the kind of guy we bring in.
Right. That's what I mean.
Schwarber,
Like
yeah,
we're
he's
talking
had an
about old
amazing season.
but we're just talking about like some older names that have some power bat help. We're not talking about bringing in Shohei Ohtani or something crazy like that. We joked about like Bryce Harper or something like that earlier when we were
Love that.
together. Uh, Obviously, all of this is like just hearsay because of the money side of it. I want to bring Detroit back on the table now, though, because I think the biggest knock on this team was their first day lineup, the day that they went up against Scooble. in hindsight, I think they should have really just put all the eggs into one basket, kind of like today's lineup was. And I'm
Mhm.
also going to joke that this should be opening day lineup of next season because I really like this lineup with Valera, Quan, Ramirez, Manzardo, Delauder, Arias, Bo, CJ, and Brian Rocchio. Not Slade Sassoni pitching. We will obviously have Big Rig on the mound. But in terms of the batting order and the lineup, I really do like that lineup. I also really do like the lineup because Cal Manzardo's DHing because he's had some woes at first base. Not that Kafis didn't either, because he had one in today's game where he should have had an out and the ball rolled out of his mitt. Um, but that first game lineup had a lot of questionable decisions, like starting John Kenzie Noel. I know he was hot in the playoffs last year, but we both know how big Christmas has been this year. In his entirety of his season, he was in AAA at one point. I just think that there was some things that in retrospect I wish we would have done better because it would have put us into a better spot to win. Do I think we win the game for sure? Do I think we win the series for sure? No, because Detroit at the end of the day outplayed us. But it would have been interesting to see, say, maybe Chase DeLauder play all three. He was productive behind the plate, I think, even though he got one hit. I mean, he was walked one time. He only struck out once. He had a lot of long at bats. I don't know, man. It's just something that's sticking with me as I'm kind of melancholy and sad about the game now.
Yeah, and we also played them 9 times, 6 times in September and then these 3 postseason games. That's a lot to face one team. And granted, they had the same issue. They faced us 9 times, but we got the best of them in September, as we know. And to continually face the team and see that lineup, like you're saying, um, we just came up with the short end of the stick at the end of the day. We also, I mean, looking at this series specifically, we did things that we haven't been doing. Meaning we had there's one example that scored a run. It went off Kafis's glove at first. That should have been a routine ground ball. I mean, it was hit down the line nicely, but hit off his glove to extend the inning and get. I believe it was their first run of the game. We had outfielders trying to call one another off and running into each other. That didn't result in any scoring, but we weren't doing the little things like we normally did right. J Ram got picked off twice, once trying to steal second, once trying to leg out a double. Those little things that normally we excel at and that small ball that you're talking about let
Yeah.
us down in this series. So when you're not getting those runs and that production from that, and then you're giving away runs on the other side, it's hard to win a baseball game in a series when you're committing, really simple errors like that.
And you could even point to Jose running for home in the first game. I kind of get his mentality there because you have a young player behind you. You don't want to put him in that situation where he has to get the hit to win. There's one out. I think it was Kafis was coming up to bat after that. So you're trying to squeeze and get in there and get the tying run. So there's less pressure on Kafis. But even those kind of things, Jose's a smart base runner. I feel like some some people, I kind of lean the way that I think he did too much in that instance.
Mhm.
There's just a lot of the hiccups that you weren't seeing when they went on the amazing run that was coming from behind and being 15 and a half games back in July and winning the AL Central.
And sometimes it's just not your day. We went on that run and we won in part because a guy like Jose steals second. Him getting caught is just a part of baseball.
Yeah.
So, it just wasn't our day, it wasn't our series, and that's gonna happen. It's unfortunate because of the magic that we felt in September heading into October. But that's life and that's baseball. And I know we hate saying that there's always next year. We joked about it off the rip, but there is. This team will return. They'll continue, hopefully, to excite us in some new ways. Hopefully, they don't wait till September next year. But I feel pretty good. And I'll say this, I feel pretty good with Vogt in charge as well. He's an area that I still believe in. He's a coach that I still believe in. And that's not somebody that I'm willing to give up on because I think it's steady as she goes as far as coaching's concerned.
I No, I agree, and that was a question mark midway through the season, especially when him and Bybee had the fight in the dugout that was televised and whatnot. Fight is a strong term. They had words. They exchanged loud, aggressive swear words at each other at one point. Um, so I agree though. Vogt has proven himself even in the face of adversity now, and on top of, what was a stellar year for himself last year, too. This is a good organization at the end of the day. They do a lot with a little, despite the face of ownership, despite everything that is going on with the team. And
Hold
there's
on, hold
what?
on. I'm gonna have to pause you there because I don't want to rehash this argument for the 10th time, but we talk about the Steelers doing uh, a lot with a little, and you call for Tomlin's head. How's it any different? Like,
Well,
I think
Tomlin's
as
been
fans, we should be angrier.
it's hard to be angrier because you have no control over it at the end of the day.
No, I'm just saying I think the status quo that we've come to expect from this team and ownership, yes, the front office has done a fantastic job with 2 arms tied behind their back, one of their eyes poked out, and their leg chopped off. It's time that we get somebody that's not gonna do that, though. So tired of saying, "Well, the front office did such a good job considering they had 2 nickels that they had to find in their own couch to pay a player." That's great, but I'm so sick of that. At what
Well,
point do we have a
Eric's
march?
so
We
am
had a parade for 0-16. I think we need one to get rid of ownership in Cleveland for the
So am
Guardians.
I. So am I, Eric, but there's only so many times I can come on here and beat the drum of, yes, stolen, sell the team. I think all of us in Cleveland agree with that. I'm
We
giving
don't even
credit to
have a
the
drum. They took that away when he died.
but you
I
get
get
what
what
I'm
you're
saying.
saying.
There's only so much we can do, and I still think that there is a valid point to give these guys credit for what they are doing with a little. It's not the same as the Steelers example, so I'm just going to push that to the side. Tomlin's been there for years. They do spend money on players. We are talking about a manager who's been here for 2 years and a team that has never spent money on players.
Yeah, I
The
wasn't
only
laying it
reason
at Votes' feet at all, for the record.
No,
It's
I just
straight Dolan ownership.
and I agree. I think anybody who's listening to this would agree that our life would be a lot easier if we had an owner that would spend money, but that's not the situation. So the people who are in charge of this team, aside from the Dolans, do deserve credit for everything that has been done, specifically in the last 2 years, because the lack of power batting, the lack of production on the offensive side of the ball, and still doing things like winning the AL, being 15 and a half back, going to the ALCS, all of that is super, super recognizable. And they do deserve credit for that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just saying I think we need to turn up the pressure on the Dolans to sell the team. If we're so sick of this and we keep talking about it year after year, it's time to ramp it up. For legal reasons, I don't recommend any of the following, but if the Dolan's house were to get egged every single night, if like I mean, I don't know what we're supposed to do, but are you not so sick of this and having this same conversation over and over?
Yeah, I am. But there's nothing that we're going to be able to do right now to change it anyway, Eric.
Popular opinion can do a lot. You'd be surprised.
We've been
I'm gonna
screaming
create my
Dolan,
protest sign
do it.
and stand at I don't know where they live, probably, like, Hunting Valley, but I'm gonna create a sign with Sharpies, and you'll find me there next weekend when I won't
Well,
be watching October baseball.
you have fun with that. I want to do one last little focus because this is kind of the end of season wrap up until we start talking about anything crazy going on at winter meetings, I would assume, because I don't think anything's going to happen with this team for a while now. So we can kind of put the Guardians uh, season Guardians talk to rest. We had three big name prospects kind of get called up and play this year. And I kind of want to know what you think of one Kyle Manzardo, CJ Kafis, George Valera. I know Manzardo's been up longer, but this is his first real full season. He kind of took over full time duty as a player, midway through the year.
Yeah, I like all 3. I think the biggest question mark for me is actually Manzardo. Hear me out. If we bring in a power hitting guy, Manzardo fits best in that DH role, in my opinion, with this current team. I like Kafis at first. They obviously don't really like Manzardo at first, for obvious reasons. Um, so I kind of like the idea of bringing in a power hitter, obviously, who doesn't, right? If you sign that guy, though, what happens um, specifically to Manzardo? I don't know. I don't know where he fits at that point. Do you try to rotate him in at first? Do you try to rotate him in at DH? So he's the bigger question mark, even though I like Manzardo. CJ Kafis has probably impressed me the most. Obviously, time will tell on everybody here. And you didn't even mention DeLauder, unless I missed that.
I was gonna get into DeLauder last. I was talking about the 3 that played in the regular season first.
Yeah, I mean they had their moments, right? When they would shine. It's just getting consistent production, and the thing about baseball is you have to see continual pitches. You just have to get put your time in basically. And yeah, there are guys where you just if you know, you know. But they can all three can turn into very good ball players for us. The problem is as they start to peak, that's normally the time when contracts rise and we're going to ship them off anyway. So will they be here long enough to hit their peak? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I was really satisfied with all 3, Valera, Kafis, and Manzardo, how they played. Valera, obviously, very short term. His story is awesome, though, getting cut, basically being told to leave the organization, sent to free agency, being told to leave is harsh, then being brought back on a minor league deal, proving himself again after injuries and a bunch of setbacks. At one time, he was a top prospect and finally playing meaningful minutes in a meaningful stretch for the Guardians. I'm
And
excited to
big
see what all.
moments, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what all 3 of them do next year. You mentioned Kafis and Manzardo and kind of a logjam at first. How I personally see it is they need to just get Manzardo some more reps at first base, so he is a little bit better um, at some of the fielding issues that he's had, and Kafis has taken a lot of reps at outfield. So Kafis at right field for me. And then you can do some rotation with the outfield. Sometimes have Kafis play first, sometimes have Manzardo DH. It's not always the same set lineup. But and then Juan George Valera as well. I'm excited to see what they continue to do with him. You mentioned Chase the Lauder. He impressed me for the most part through 2 entire games in the postseason. We talked about him briefly earlier, but I'm excited to see him. He better be on the opening day roster, the opening day lineup. Let me throw that one up one more time because it should be this exact lineup minus Slade, Saccone, pitching Stephen Vogt.
Chase got his first hit in that game yesterday, which was one of the bright spots of the game. That was very cool. Obviously, cool for him and his family who were also there. I expect a lot out of that kid. It's still early, but I'm excited to see him progress. As far as the outfield goes, there might be a spot in left field open soon too, because I just don't think Quan's along or here for the long haul. We'll see how that shapes out, but with interest from the Dodgers, etc., I just think he'll be gone sooner than later. So maybe that opens up as well. But I agree with you. I like that lineup to start off the season.
Yeah, especially because I think Bazzano will start off in AAA and he'll get the midseason call up. But we'll see that as well. That could be some exciting power hitting additions to this team. I think that about covers every thought that I've had since this loss. I know you're down because of the Dolans. I think the whole city is because we want to see more power hitting. We want to see more additions to this roster. But at the end of the day, with everything that this team faced this season, it was a success. And I'm happy. I'm sad that it's over, but I'm happy that this team showed the grit and determination that they did.
And let me be clear about one thing. I think off the field, the stadium improvements, etc., the Dolans have shined. They've made more with less, like we've talked about. But when the on-field product isn't there, and when you're always consistently in the bottom 10, bottom 5 in spending, something's got to give. But yeah, to reiterate, what the boys did to win the division, to come back like that, is simply incredible. They made Major League Baseball history, literally, and
Yeah.
they should be proud of that fact. Certainly, it does not
Uh,
rest on their heads at all, and they gave it their all. And I love that. And I'll look back fondly the last month, minus the last couple days, because what an accomplishment. I
what an
just I
accomplishment.
just wish we weren't having the same conversation over and over.
Me too. And, of all things, I'm most sad that Roketober ended on the second day.
Yeah, and on that note, the debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.